All right, this news just breaking moments ago. Fox News has obtained photos of one of the Somali illegal immigrants wrapped up in the Minnesota fraud scandal, posing with several high-profile Minnesota Democrats, including Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and Governor Tim Walz. The man pictured is Abdul Dahir Ibrahim. He entered the country in 2000 and has had an order for removal since 2004. He also has a prior conviction in Canada for asylum and welfare fraud. ICE tells Fox News Ibrahim was granted temporary protected status for 10 years, but should have never been eligible. We are going to have more on this in our next hour.
Well, now investigators are tracking the web of fraud to other Minnesota Democrats, such as Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Many of the suspects linked to the scheme live in her district, including a restaurant owner who hosted events for her. He has since been convicted of stealing $12 million in COVID funds.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey.
Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. When you try to we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Oh boy, it's just more breaking news. Type in Somali on y'all social media accounts, on your Facebooks, your Twitter, your X, Instagram, whatever it is. Just type it in. And look, we got more breaking news. Minnesota Somalia fraud may reach 8 billion, not just 1 billion as first reported. Oh boy, this is getting. Oh man. And look at this clown. Look at Mayor Jacob holding on for dear life as he dines in a Somalian restaurant to stick it to Trump. This is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Them beans are so good, huh? Look at his face. You just can't make it up, man. You just can't make it up. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. What does it say? Somalians say the Somalian Mall in Minneapolis is practically empty following the ICE raids. Excellent. This means the raids are working and the illegals are getting deported. Well done, ICE. Keep up the pressure. Deportations are patriotic.
A lot of people haven't been leaving their home for work or making a living. So it's very unfortunate and very sad.
I feel like it's sad to see everyone inside. Right now, this is very empty for this area, especially this place to be this quiet, nobody walking around, I think is insane.
Sarah, we went to Carmel Mall. That's really the heart of the Somali community here in Minneapolis. It is normally bustling. There are people everywhere as the shop owners, try to make a living here in America, and it was virtually empty. Most of the people that we spoke with were people who work there, and that was pretty jarring for the people who know that that is normally a very vibrant place. The city says that they are doing everything they can to try to protect.
Look at CNN's. They can't wait to just say Trump. Trump calls the community garbage. We know what Trump said. Thank you. We know how y'all gonna get on here on CNN and take everything out of context. But it's a disgrace what is going on down there in Minnesota. And that's what Trump is pointing out. And this is why the taxpayers are hotter than fish grease. Why they want that bum governor walked out in handcuffs, investigated, and so many others investigated. So, and I retweeted, what the hell? I retweeted something last night. I reposted something last night. I want y'all to hear. But, says Ilhan Omar is done. The rats are scattering and most of them are begging reporters to hear their stories. Whistleblowers now confirm her campaign funneled a massive amount of money to her husband's firm while Somalian Link Networks in Minneapolis ran one of the biggest COVID relief fraud schemes in history. Hundreds of millions stolen. She knew, she benefited it, she covered for them. This isn't community outreach. This is corruption on steroids.
Well, now investigators are tracking the web of fraud to other Minnesota Democrats, such as Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Many of the suspects linked to the scheme live in her district, including a restaurant owner who hosted events for her. He has since been convicted of stealing $12 million in COVID funds.
Oh boy, you just can't make it up, y'all. You just can't make it up. But I did want to show this because I reposted it on my page. And if you follow me at OkayRickk on everything's the same. I will follow you back on Twitter or X, however y'all want to call it. I still call it Twitter. But follow me. I will follow you back. You know, this lady's a disgrace. I mean, man. She introduced a bill to strip DHS of their ability to detain illegal immigrants and to force taxpayers to pay for their immigration lawyers. And it says send her back to in India. This is effing insane.
Trump just called Somalis garbage.
Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain.
Did he stutter? I mean, of course he did not refer to the Somali people as a whole as garbage. He's talking in the context of this Somali fraud Minnesota scandal that's going on. That's a lot of garbage. Quick facts. 50% of the visas in Minnesota are fraudulent. And Minnesota is home to the largest Somali population outside of Somalia. Minnesota's conducted over $1.7 billion worth of fraud. In the Somali community, there's been a spike in autistic Medicaid claims from 3 million in 2018 to 399 million in 2023. In 2023 alone, the Somali diaspora sent back $1.7 billion to Somalia. 40% of households in Somalia get cash checks from abroad. And guess what? The Minnesota Somali community has sent millions of dollars to Al-Shabaab, a terrorist group. Minnesota is drowning in fraud, and their governor Tim Walz knew about it the entire time. Donald Trump is not calling Somalis as a whole garbage, but he's saying it's garbage that Americans in Minnesota are paying tax dollars that are being completely wasted and fraudulently used. And the leaders in Minnesota, especially the Somali leaders, are doing nothing about it. You don't get to come to America, complain, loot, steal, and then act like you deserve the world. Ilhan Omar, for instance, a congresswoman from Minnesota, has said that the United States is one of the worst countries in the world. That is just garbage. Let's also not forget that Joe Biden called Trump supporters as a whole garbage. So, a lot of trash talk.
I had to show that to y'all, but I want to get into this from Dr. Steve. Somalian elected official was arrested, and then this happened.
And it is happening in our nation. While federal agents have just launched a targeted immigration crackdown on the Somali community in Minneapolis, the largest enforcement move against that community in U.S. history, at the same time, over 1,000 miles away, a Somali elected official was just arrested on felony gun charges and caught in a residency scandal straight out of a third world playbook. None of that is a coincidence. Stick me to the very end of this video because we're going to find out how these two stories are really chapters of the same book. A liberal establishment that's too afraid to say no, and a president and a people who have finally had enough. Hey, as the far left desperately tries all over the world to deployment of a massive federal law enforcement operation specifically targeting Somali immigrants in Minneapolis and St. Paul, the largest Somali community in the entire United States. We're talking over 100 federal officers surging to the Twin Cities this week, armored vehicles, targeted raids, and a message that years of looking the other way are officially over. The raids were ordered in the wake of the fallout from what federal prosecutors are calling one of the largest welfare fraud waves in American history. And some of that stolen money may have ended up in the hands of a group called Al-Shabaab, an Al-Qaeda-linked terror group in Somalia. And it gets worse. Now, the fraud coming out of Minneapolis isn't just one scheme, it's an entire network. As it turns out, the $250 million stolen from child nutrition programs was just the tip of the iceberg. Federal authorities have uncovered housing stabilization fraud. They've uncovered autism services fraud. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Fraud.
Federal prosecutors say these schemes have stolen billions, yes, that's billions with a B, billions of dollars from American taxpayers. Now, here's where this story takes an even wilder turn. While ICE agents are arresting people in Minneapolis, a Somali city councilor in Lewiston, Maine, a man by the name of Iman Osman, was just indicted on 2 felony counts for allegedly stealing firearms. And it gets even crazier. Osman, again, who's from Somalia, was already facing scrutiny for claiming to live at an address that was condemned and connected to a federal drug raid where agents seized 24 pounds of methamphetamine, cocaine, fentanyl, and firearms. And when the city clerk asked him to verify his address, his lawyer said he couldn't disclose his address because his life was in danger. He was getting death threats. But then when reporters checked in with the Lewiston Police Department, they found that there's absolutely no record whatsoever of any police report filed about any threats. So this Somali man won't even confirm where he lives, and yet he's about to be sworn into office in January. Now, these gun theft charges were filed on Monday, December 2nd, the same day that the Trump administration announced and began deploying over 100 ICE agents to Minneapolis, St. Paul to target Somali immigrants with final deportation orders. And these 2 back-to-back incidents have many noticing a broader pattern of alleged criminal behavior within Somali communities. And ironically, the recognition of that pattern is coming from none other, if you can believe it, than the New York Times, and from none other than a Somali-born professor. Dr. Ahmed Samatar, a professor at Macalester College and leading expert in Somali studies, he himself is Somali American. He's quoted in the New York Times making the claim that Somali refugees who arrived in the United States following their country's civil war came from an environment where, quote, and again, this is the professor, stealing from a dysfunctional and corrupt government was widespread. Pretty much describes Democrat governments right now in all of our cities. Christopher Rufo at the Manhattan Institute has also argued that many cultural patterns from Somalia, particularly clan networks, informal economies, and distrust and exploitation of state institutions travel with diaspora communities and have shown up in Minnesota as well. And what's so key here is that it's not just the United States that's experiencing this. There's a significant population of Somalis in Norway, and Norwegian authorities have uncovered similar welfare fraud issues involving some of their Somali immigrants. By early 2017, Norwegian immigration authorities had 500 fraud cases under investigation, disproportionately involving Somali populations. And a recent Reuters investigation documented how welfare and international aid theft remains a daily reality in Somalia, with an entire ecosystem profiting from misappropriation involving camp owners, local officials, and aid workers. But then something absolutely astonishing happened. Perhaps the single most prominent member of the Somali community in this country was directly confronted on live television with all of this evidence of fraud and corruption, and you are not going to believe how she responded. Wait until you see this. But first, you know that stubborn ache that never quite goes away, and you won't believe how she responded.
Can you shed any light on why the fraud got so out of control in Minnesota?
I think what happened is that, you know, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created.
So nearly 60 people have been convicted in this scheme that stole over $1 billion meant to feed children. It's part of this wider aid stealing pattern that even a Somalian professor argues is part of their culture. And Omar's response was to focus on program design flaws rather than the flaws of the people who committed the actual crimes. I mean, it's textbook deflection. But unfortunately, it's just par for the course for Omar and for the identity politics that predominate the modern day Democrat Party. Here's what's really at stake. Minnesota is approximately 84,000 people Somali descent. Most came as refugees starting in the 1990s, fleeing civil war. Horrible civil war, no question. And America welcomed them with open arms. Housing assistance, welfare programs, educational opportunities. You paid for all of that. And how did at least some of these Somalis repay that generosity? Well, as it turns out, by allegedly defrauding the system for billions and potentially funding terrorism abroad. Now, of course, not all Somalis, obviously. I guess we're living in a time where we have to say that, right? But enough that federal prosecutors are now calling Minnesota a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity that just engaged in one of the worst welfare frauds in U.S. history, and Somalian community is at the center of it. And in Maine, Somali communities have grown so fast in cities like Lewiston and Portland that they now make up 15% of some local populations. They're winning elections. They're sitting on school boards. They're making decisions about America's children's education. And at least one of them is now facing felony charges for stealing guns while living at a condemned drug house.
Disgrace, man.
Now, there's an old saying that's becoming somewhat axiomatic here. Import the third world and you import third world problems. Import the third world and you import third world problems. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing here. And rather than doing the responsible thing and holding their community accountable, Democrat leaders are making excuses, they're deflecting, and now they're playing the victim card. The good news is that the Trump administration isn't backing down. More raids are coming, more deportations, and more accountability for politicians who let this happen. Because if Minnesota is any indication, the problem isn't just illegal immigration. It's a complete failure of leadership that prioritized political correctness over protecting American citizens and particularly our tax dollars. And that failure ends now. So what do you guys think? Let us know.
Steve, man. Oh, Dr. Steve, man. Just can't make this up. You just can't, man. Just can't make it up.
What's what? You guys see this video from a Somali immigrant. He's telling us what's what.
iyo meel kasta wax soo galayeen baa loogu daatay dhalinyarada loo yaqaan mega ee loo soo gaabiyay Make America Great Again ee Team Trump ahaa ay kala bahdilay dagaalku ha socdo saas ha lagu wado Minnesota anaga iska leh Mareykan anaga iska leh.
Well, there you have it. They've taken Minnesota, and they're going to take out the rest of America too. And you have got to admire the confidence, right? That is a lot of bravado, especially when you consider that none of that confidence or bravado helped them to take Somalia. And just a quick tip here, sport: if you don't have what it takes to take out a couple of strung out warlords, you do not want to dabble with rural America, because we got a lot of country boys and veterans that, quite frankly, they've been itching to get back into it.
Hey, we're going to end the show off with that right there. Yeah, buddy, you don't want to play with them American Patriots. You know. And our president ain't playing either. This administration ain't effing around. You know. And I'm telling you, it need to be a sweep god dog on down there in Minnesota. But we're going to let this all play out, y'all. Hey, oh boy, what a time to be alive, man. Y'all weigh in with your thoughts. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. You know, happy holidays. Y'all stay safe, stay warm out there. God bless you all and your family, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace and love, you guys.